Hello, I'm TheZOMBIEJ. It's time for a Bionicle discussion video. I was reminded by a viewer that Nidhiki went rogue. And thank you for reminding me that. They know who they are. So, Nidhiki. My first exposure to Nidhiki was the set, obviously. Crab-like, spider-like, Vaki-headed cretin. Yeah, it was just, that set was just another excuse to use the Vaki head. As if to be lazy. Thanks, Lego. And, I liked that set. Definitely liked it better than Kreka, but hey, Kreka's cool too. Despite the character being dumb as shit. And you know what? Nidhiki and Kreka were the perfect contrast. You have smart, intellectual, planned, calculating, while also menacing person. Well, you also have, on the other side of the spectrum, you have dumb brute who can still, you know, fuck shit up. Nidhiki was once a Toa. One of the Toa Mangai, and there were plenty of those Toa. Lee Khan was the last one before he became a Turaga. Nidhiki once fought alongside Toa Lee Khan until one day there was a war that was going to break out between the residents of Metru Nui and the Dark Hunters. So both sides were preparing, and eventually Nidhiki decided, well, now's the perfect time for me to betray. So he was observed, I guess. You know, he was on his way to the Dark Hunters to have a special meeting with them. And so it struck a deal, I guess. And so this is when Nidhiki actually went rogue and decided to be a Dark Hunter. And in order to actually become a Dark Hunter, he would have to be, well, transformed and lose his Toa powers, including his scythe and his mask. And yeah, thus he was transformed by Rodaka, I think. I could be wrong about that. Well, he was transformed into what you see as the set, the $20 set from 2005. Or 4, sorry. Nidhiki transformed into a 4-legged, crab pincer-handed, Vaki-headed monstrosity. That was a flawed set, but still pretty good. I think I have nostalgia for that set sometimes. The cool thing about that set is you can actually turn the Vaki head around and plop it down. Then you position the arms in a certain way, and then plop the whole body down. And then you got like this crab-like thing, spider crab thing, which is weird. So that's cool. So Toa Lee Khan and Nidhiki were at, they both had sort of a, well, disrespect for each other at this point, because since Nidhiki became a Dark Hunter, he betrayed his brother Toa, Lee Khan, and so Lee Khan took this as an insult, it seems. And I don't blame him, honestly. Why would you betray your own, Nidhiki? Well, his excuse was probably something along the lines of, well, what did my brothers and sisters do for me? And that's why he joined the Dark Hunters. The war was actually stopped, obviously, before it could really escalate. But, you know, still, Nidhiki is no longer a Toa. He's a monster. And at the end of, well, towards the end of Legends of Metru Nui, he and Kreka were both killed by Pterodax to form Pterodax's new body with the wings. And, well, I guess you could say Nidhiki got his just desserts. He deserved his death based on the fact that, well, he was a traitor. Nidhiki was a traitor. Let that sink into your brains. Nidhiki betrayed the Toa. He disavowed or dishonored the code of the Toa. And, well, now, obviously, Lee Khan lost all respect for him. Lee Khan eventually died too. But, you know, there's nothing you can do about that. His legacy was passed on through the mask. Vakama gave it to Jala, who originally had a Komau, apparently, that was red and broken. Yeah. Nidhiki, a traitorous bastard that was only thinking for himself, really. What a selfish cunt you are, Nidhiki. Was it really worth it for you? I hope it was. You got killed in the end, so I hope it was worth it for you. Yeah, Nidhiki was a traitorous bastard. So much for being a Toa. So much for living up to the moral code that a Toa must abide by. And now he's dead. Rest in pieces, Nidhiki. I could say the same for Kreka, but I don't think he was a Toa before he was a Dark Hunter, so that was just something that was exclusive to Nidhiki. But yeah, so what can be said about this? Well, as I've stated, Nidhiki became a traitor and lost all respect from Lee Khan. That's why they fought in Legends of Metronui. That's why one of Lee Khan's taunts was basically just calling him brother. Or no, that was Nidhiki calling Lee Khan brother as part of one of his taunts. And, of course, he lost the right to call him that years ago, as Lee Khan once famously said. So, Nidhiki had his part in serving for the Dark Hunters, serving for the Shadowed One, and eventually his reign of terror came to an end. Nidhiki's, that is, not the Shadowed One. He's on Spherus Magna, still in possession of the Toa Mari, apparently. That's something that needs explaining. And if someone can do it, post in the comment section below. I'd love to read that. So, Nidhiki was definitely an interesting character, to say the least. He definitely had a bit of a story to go along with him, as bonus pages to the encyclopedia, the first encyclopedia from Bionicle. It's just called the Bionicle Encyclopedia. Then there was a second version of that was released in 2007. Yeah, there was a bit of a story. It's called Birth of a Dark Hunter. Good stuff. Obviously, Greg Farshty wrote that, and really he's the only one that can write a Bionicle story in terms of official stuff, but, you know, fans were able to do stuff that is sometimes vastly better than what Greg did, but I digress. Nidhiki has really lost his mind once he decided to become a part of the Dark Hunters. He lost his mind, and he lost all respect from anyone, any sane being who had even a grain of sanity left in them. And honesty, really. Anyone who is honest enough with themselves and others can can see that Nidhiki, yes, indeed, was a piece of shit. And I'm not just saying that. He really was a piece of shit. He was evil. He decided to be evil. He did it all for himself. And it all came to an end after Pterodax killed him and Kreka. Why he was teamed up with Kreka, I will never know. It's the perfect balance between dumb brute with smart intellectual character, you know? It's that perfect yin and yang sort of thing, you know? So I can understand in that regard, but while Nidhiki is not my favorite Dark Hunter, clearly, he was definitely an important one. One that advanced the plot to, you know, where it needed to be. And eventually, well, the sequel saga, at least for Nidhiki's arc, came to a close after he died. And as a result, well, he will be remembered as a traitor. So rest in pieces, Nidhiki, you piece of shit. I mean, if anybody actually likes Nidhiki, the character, yeah, no. Well, he was a Toa at one point. I mean, at least he had the common courtesy to at least think about what he wanted to do before actually acting on it, I guess. So there's that. But if he actually did, you know, join the Dark Hunters without actually thinking first, well, maybe that's his problem and nobody else's, really. I mean, Lee Khan must have seen this coming. He must have spied on Nidhiki at one point, and maybe Nidhiki actually was just keeping secrets from Lee Khan, which definitely goes against the Toa code, if I might be, if I'm completely honest, really. That's definitely something where, you know, if Hydraxon heard this, he'd probably, you know, beat the shit out of Nidhiki, but obviously Hydraxon didn't train Nidhiki, that was someone else. Hydraxon apparently trained the Toa Mata, but that's a different story for another day. So Nidhiki's morals were definitely in question here, and he was in question, simply because of his decision to become an evil bastard. Siding with the enemy instead of, you know, living up to the Toa code. Kind of sounds like a bit of a philosophy change, if I may say so. But really, when you think about it, it had to happen to advance the plot further, so I guess that was something, you know. And you know what, the plot for Bionicle was amazing, it really was. So there's some unfinished and unexplained stuff too, but you know, those can be talked about another day. As far as, you know, forgiveness, obviously, you know, Nidhiki can't get forgiveness now because he's dead. He's been dead forever. And Lee Khan sure as hell won't forgive him anyway because of what he did. Especially since, you know, Nidhiki and Kreka both imprisoned Lee Khan, so that was another move. Yeah, Nidhiki and Kreka together did some really fucked up shit, obviously. I mean, really, it is what it is at the end of the day, but, you know, really, when you think about it, Nidhiki's actions were not justified. He could have happily continued being a Toa and had, you know, okay, he could have second-guessed himself and, you know, and forget about the whole Dark Hunter thing and continue fighting alongside his brother Lee Khan. But he chose not to do that. He chose to, you know, become a Dark Hunter, get mutated, and lose his mind, and eventually his life. And that sums it up, basically. You know, that's all I can really say in this video. This character, while he's a well-written and well-despised character, I might say, I'd say he's more likable than Krekka. Krekka's just a dumbass. I mean, really, he's fucking retarded. I don't like Krekka's character all that much. I prefer Nidhiki over Krekka. I mean, let's be honest. And really, I prefer... to be honest, I prefer the Shadowed One and Sentrak over Nidhiki and Krekka any day as, you know, Dark Hunters. And, well, one of them's a Dark Hunter, the other one is the leader of the Dark Hunters. You know, Sentrak is just a Dark Hunter, while the Shadowed One is the leader of the Dark Hunters, so there's that. And those were both 2005 combo models. What's left to say? Well, I feel like Nidhiki could have, you know, obviously he wasn't going to be resurrected in the Red Star, because no one wanted that to happen. And I'm pretty sure Greg didn't have it happen, because, well, if someone can get Greg to confirm that, I don't think, honestly, I don't think it would happen, because Nidhiki and Krekka were both killed in order to be part of Makuta's you know, new body. So, the same body that he ended up having in Mask of Light. There's that. That's a whole different story. And, well, it's still the prototype Makuta, so there's that. So, overall, Nidhiki. Traitorous bastard. Well deserving of his death. And really, there's no forgiving him. There really isn't. If you really side with the Toa, and if you really dig deep and look into the how things work in the Bionicle universe, you kind of have to side with the Toa at this point, because the Dark Hunters are immoral bastards. And also, so are the Skakti, but, you know, that's a whole nother ball of wax. The Paraka are mercenaries and traitors, and, well, not traitors, but traitors, I guess, but also murderers. And, you know, there's plenty of other species in Bionicle that can be seen as interesting. But there's also some problematic ones, like, I don't even know if Krekka has a species, but, you know, the Dark Hunters is not a species, it's a faction of characters, you know, yeah, so, what is Krekka's species? Is he from Stealth? Probably not. I don't know. I know Sidorak is from Stealth, but that's another story, and he died, of course. Squash! Kitongu smash! That was a brutal scene. So, yeah, overall, Nidhiki is, well, at least he was a well-written character. But despite that, you know, still an asshole. So what are your thoughts on Nidhiki? Did you feel his, you know, betraying of Lee Khan and, you know, the rest of the Toa manga, even though they were dead, was justified? Do you feel his actions were justified? Or do you feel like Nidhiki got his just desserts? I think he did. Because why would you betray your brothers anyway? That's just wrong. And Nidhiki was wrong for doing this. So, that's just my opinion, though. What's yours? Let me know in the comment section below. And stay tuned for more videos. I am TheZOMBIEJ. I'll see you folks later. Have a good fucking day. And peace.